Imagine a single law that gave a king more power than almost any monarch before him. A law that declared a mortal man the head of the Church of God in England. A law that divided families, destroyed monasteries, created martyrs, and changed the very faith of a nation. This was not just paperwork, this was a revolution written in ink. Our thread in this story is not a noble, not a bishop, not even a knight. It's a royal clerk, a profession that has endured from medieval chancelleries to Victorian officers and even into the modern civil service. In 1534, this clerk sits at a desk, copying out statutes. He scratches Henry VIII's new titles onto vellum, Supreme Head of the Church of England. For him, it's just another day's work. For the nation, it's an earthquake. The story begins with the problems of succession. Henry VIII's marriage to Catherine of Aragon had produced only one surviving child, a daughter, Mary. Henry wanted a son, an heir to secure the Tudor dynasty. His solution was to seek annulment. But annulments required papal approval, and in the 1520s, under pressure from Catherine's powerful nephew, the Emperor Charles V, would not grant it. Here lies the clash. One man's dynastic desperation versus the authority of Rome. Parliament was summoned. Royal clerks drafted laws, and by 1534, the Act of Supremacy declared, "The King's Majesty justly and rightly and is ought to be the supreme head of the Church of England. No Pope, no higher authority, just Henry." But if Henry had broken Rome's chains, who would dare pull back? The ink was barely dry when opposition emerged. Some of it was quiet, whispered doubts in parish churches, unease among ordinary believers, but some was loud. Sir Thomas More, once Henry's closest advisor, refused to swear the oath affirming the act. For this he was executed in 1535. Bishop John Fisher met the same fate. Beyond the court, rebellion brewed. In 1536, a pilgrimage of grace swept across the north of England. Tens of thousands of men rose to defend the monasteries, their traditional faith, and their loyalty to Rome. For a moment, it seemed Henry's gamble might collapse in civil war. Our clerk, recording proclamations in London, hears rumours of Yorkshire rebels massing under the banner of 5 Wounds of Christ. He copies orders summoning troops north, sealing his wax stamps over words that meant death for thousands. So, if resistance costs lives, why did the acts endure? The answer lies not just in belief, but in power and wealth. The Act of Supremacy gave Henry control of the church, and with it, its vast resources. Between 1536 and 1541, the monasteries were dissolved. Monks and nuns were turned out. Libraries were destroyed. Lands and treasures were seized by the crown and redistributed to nobles and gentry. For Henry, this wasn't just about faith. It was about binding the elite to his cause. Those who profited from monastic lands now had a stake in defending the new order. Our clerk, once scribbling charters for abbots, now drafts grants transferring former monastery lands to local lords. He sees fortunes made in a stroke of a quill. But power gained in one reign can be lost in the next. What would happen when Henry died? Henry's successors wrestled with the act's consequences. His son, Henry VI, pushed Reformation further, making England a Protestant nation. Mary I reversed course, restoring papal supremacy and burning Protestants as heretics. Elizabeth I, in 1559, reinstated the Act of Supremacy with herself as Supreme Governor, a compromise title designed to soften opposition. The Act had unleashed a pendulum of religious change, swinging violently with each monarch. Each swing deepened divisions. Each swing risked rebellion. The civil wars of the 17th century fought in part over the relationship between Crown, Parliament and Church, cannot be understood without the precedent of Henry's supremacy. And our clerk's successors, still at their desks, still drafting laws, now write and rewrite the very definition of English faith, depending on the monarch. Stability seems as fragile as parchment. But why was it acceptable then to hand so much power to one man, when today Britain prides itself on limiting it? The answer lies in the mindset of the 16th century. In Henry's England, monarchy was not yet limited by constitutional convention. The king was God's anointed, expected to rule in all things temporal and spiritual. Opposition existed. The rebels of the north, the martyrs at the scaffold, the quiet defiance in parish churches. But the machinery of power, parliament, nobles, clerks, soldiers, bent to the king's will. In modern Britain, no prime minister could declare themselves head of the church by statute. Authority is shared, diffused, checked. But in 1534, it was okay, not in a moral sense, but in a practical one, because the king could command it, enforce it, and silence those who refused. The Act of Supremacy was both law and weapon. It was legitimacy written down and backed by the sword. Our clerk, grown old, has spent a lifetime drafting decrees. He's watched abbeys fall, rebels hang, and martyrs die. He has seen kings come and go, each rewriting the kingdom's soul. And in his last days, he wonders, was it just ink on parchment or the destiny of a nation? For us, the Act of Supremacy stands as the law that made a king more powerful than anyone before, but also sparked resistance that would echo for centuries. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the laws that shaped Britain. Another story is waiting, chosen by history and perhaps by YouTube's hand. Try this one. I think you might like it. I look forward to meeting you again when we turn another page in the making of Britain. Until then, take care and bye.